wrestling. We are pro wrestling.
What if Logan Paul was in AEW? Today's video will be the first part in a series where I explore what would happen if YouTube boxers decided to step into the wrestling world. First up is Logan Paul. Here's a quick, and I mean quick, rundown if you aren't familiar with him. Logan got his start on Vine, where he rose to prominence on the now defunct app. He transitioned his fame over to YouTube, where he quickly became one of the top creators. This culminated in a huge scandal where he filmed the dead body of a suicide victim in Japan. Yeah, he's that guy. Since then, he's maintained his status as a top YouTuber while becoming significantly less scandalous. A lot of that can be attributed to his boxing career. Another YouTuber, KSI, stepped into the YouTube boxing scene and defeated Joe Weller to become the YouTube boxing champion. He then called out the Paul brothers and Logan rose to the challenge. They went on to have 2 bouts, the latter of which took place in a sold-out Staples Center. The first fight was a draw. The second fight was a loss for Logan. Despite having no wins on his boxing record, I think Logan would be good for AEW for quite a few reasons. Reason number 1, he's actually a wrestler. Logan grew up in Westlake, Ohio and was very active in sports. He joined his high school's wrestling team and became a top prodigy in his state. He represented his school in state tournaments and had a reported record of 34-2 going into his last appearance in the OHSAA state tournament. Couple that with the boxing training he's done over the last couple years, and it's safe to say Logan is no stranger to combat sports. Obviously, pro wrestling is staged, but it takes someone with a certain level of athleticism, training, and toughness to execute the moves and take the bumps. He would still be considered a beginner when it comes to this form of wrestling, so AEW would have to train him. Having proved he can not only keep going but also excel in traditional wrestling may make the investment worth the risk for the company. Similar to the transition Kurt Angle made from traditional wrestling to WWE. Logan still wrestles to this day and plans to participate in boxing and MMA in the future, even after losing to KSI. He's got the fortitude to grind it out in a tough and physical business like pro wrestling. Reason number 2, he's a showman. If anyone followed the KSI vs Logan Paul saga, they may tell you that the drama leading up to the fights was more entertaining than the fights themselves. During the press conferences and interviews, Logan found ways to taunt KSI that were sometimes juvenile, but you couldn't help but pay attention to him. Like a true heel. Logan did a good job of not only antagonizing his opponent, but talking himself up in a way that you believed in his ability, despite having seen nothing to really back up his claims. Even after the mostly amateurish display in the first fight, he marketed his growth in a way that you still couldn't help but buy in for the second one. He's multifaceted in the ways he can produce content around a fight, including acting, promo, and music. Yes, music. Logan was able to create a diss track targeting Antonio Brown that was equal parts listenable and spicy. The fight didn't happen, but he's one of those guys that could pull off a musical segment similar to the one MJF and Chris Jericho did on a recent episode of Dynamite. Quite frankly, being able to sell a fight through promo and act convincingly on stage in front of thousands of people are key components to being a sports entertainer. Now I'll talk about some drawbacks I think might hurt him if he does decide to go this route and become a professional wrestler. I don't believe Logan is very good at accepting any kind of loss or getting the short end of the stick. Even to this day, Logan will kind of paint himself as a victim of cancel culture when looking back on the Japan incident. But in reality, he deserved a level of criticism and admittedly is a better person because of it. Immediately after the KSI loss, he took it upon himself to make every excuse in the book, remarking that he sneezed 3 times when he woke up, which became a meme in itself. That brings us back to the whole showman thing. Logan was able to make sort of a spectacle around him contesting his decision loss. The State Athletic Commission did not overturn what Logan felt was an unfair 2-point deduction, solidifying KSI's victory. It's plain to see that the law still doesn't sit right with him. I say all this to say that a guy like this may never willingly do the job, so to speak. In reality, if he were to step into the squared circle, it'd probably be with WWE, and it'd probably be a WrestleMania one-off match where he gets to win, similar to Floyd Mayweather's WWE stint. As unlikely as it is, it's still fun to talk about. Next week I'll discuss why Logan's brother Jake Paul might also have potential as an AEW wrestler.
This is for Rachel, you big, fat, white, nasty, smelling, fat bitch. Why you took me off the motherfucking schedule with your trifling, dirty, white, racist ass